Hey YouTube, it's VidHead85. Let's talk for a minute. Alright, so I'm going to chat at you regarding Ferguson and black on black crime. Ferguson, Missouri and Sanford, Florida are a narrative that I'm tired of seeing, but more important, I'm tired of it happening. We're seeing cover-ups and taking too long to state what actually happened. Two unarmed young black men were killed by someone with a gun, like the story chronicled in Fruit Valley Station, and the recent chokehold death right out to Do the Right Thing in New York City. Those events give black men a reason to be mad at a system that categorizes us as dangerous, mad, craven, and most of all, deserving of a bullet. Next to that, I also see mentally ill people facing similar tragedy, which tells us more about the police than their victims. When an innocent person or people are killed by police, it taints the narrative that we're taught as little kids, especially if you weren't black or Latino or black or brown, that the cops are good guys who get the bad guys. When we grow up, however, we realize that the cops more often are the bad guys. They're just immune to the law they're supposed to serve and protect. So after all these protests and the clashes with police are happening in Ferguson and solidarity actions in many more cities take place, a social media debate is raging right now. It regards the evidence released and reactions to it no matter where you fall politically. However, righties who call Clyde Bundy a patriot, who is actually a tax cheat who wanted to graze his cows on federal land without paying up, are calling Michael Brown, who had his hands up while he was being shot at, a troubled youth who somehow deserved it because he smoked marijuana. They also say that the protesters are shiftless, want free stuff like health care, Section 8, and food stamps, and their voter registration drive is disgusting. And if there were a job fair there, they'd scatter like roaches, or says Joe the plumber, who is more irrelevant than Sarah Palin and Michelle Bachmann. People are going back and forth for their side of the narrative, but one particular refrain happens in these cases, and it never fails to be brought up. Why, when black people kill each other, none of them say anything? But let a white cop kill a black kid, and they all go apeshit. When this question is posed, it seems valid because there is a lot of intraracial violence within the race, within someone's race. Where are the community leaders calling out for an end to violence on the streets of Buffalo? Sergio Rodriguez, when he was a mayoral candidate last year, was striking a chord with people when he said that Main Street isn't the only street that needs to feel safe. Stop the Violence Coalition has campaigns. They also have monitors up at the local library here downtown and keep it safe there. They pass out Violence Ends With Me posters and align with organizations that mentor youth. Other organizations put on events where the community can get together and listen to music, they can relax and be calm in a place where we are plagued with so much violence. On top of that, there are organizations like Push Buffalo, which is People United for Sustainable Housing, Center for Economic Justice, Say Yes to Education Buffalo, Alliance for Quality Education, Citizen Action, Stonewall Democrats, Fathers, Teens in Progress. All of these, as well as others that are too numerous to even escape my mind, are fighting to bring an end to justice or fighting to bring justice and an end to violence before it even becomes a problem. But back to the point. The real reason the poser of this question asks about black on black crime in light of Ferguson, it's only one purpose that is done for, and that it is to dodge systemic racism that is pervasive in our society and by extension the police force. It all works together to put black people in a place of inferiority for us to stay, which is why, other than Reagan, one of my most hated presidents is Rutherford B. Hayes. He ended Reconstruction in 1877 after a largely contested election, which was similar to Bush v. Gore, but it was resolved by Congress. That ending of Reconstruction gave the Jim Crow era the go-ahead. But let's get beyond this question into the person who's asking this question. Because behind every question, you have to ask, what are they thinking? Do they care about the black community? Let's take a look at the Chris Lane murder in Oklahoma. When Fox News covered the story, they talked about fatherlessness in the black community and always paint the black community as someone who is moochers. They want free stuff. They want an Obama phone, which is a misnomer. It's a Bush phone, and suck up food stamps and live off of the government. They never say that about corporations either, but hey, I digress. When Fox News asked the president why hasn't he said anything or done anything about fatherlessness in the black community, he said, and I'm paraphrasing this quote, "We've had events about the importance of fathers, but you never come to it. It's not sexy. It doesn't grab people's attention. However, complaining about it will." These organizations that I mentioned try to stop the problem before it becomes a problem, and they'll never grab those headlines in the second coming print, you know, the real big out at you headlines, because nobody picks up the newspaper to look at something good happening in the city. These organizations are filling in a place that the person who is posing this black on black crime question has no idea of, and honestly, they don't care because they don't want an answer. They want a zap. They want to stun you with an unrelated question, a red herring, a straw man, take you off of the trail of racism in America. They want to make the problem the community that is being targeted instead of the racism that targets the community. When an unarmed black kid is shot by a police officer, when a person with special needs is killed after being placed on his belly for such a long time and dying of asphyxiation, what matters most is that someone who was supposed to protect the public is violating that oath in a most egregious fashion. That's all I have today. Thank you.